Do you still get chills when you think about the COVID-19 pandemic? All that fear, uncertainty, mass deaths, lockdowns. It started in 2019 in Wuhan, China, exploded across the world in 2020, and only stopped being a global public health emergency in 2023, after 7,101,788 deaths. A shocking number, right? But here's something even more disturbing. COVID-19 wasn't even close to being the deadliest pandemic of the last 2,000 years. It was only the fifth. The Black Death, 1,343 to 1,353. The Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, is considered the deadliest pandemic in history. Between 1343 and 1353, it killed around 75 million people, with more than 50 million deaths in Europe alone. Over 60% of the entire European population at the time. This was also when the world applied the first ever quarantine. Ships that arrived at ports had to remain anchored for 40 days before anyone could disembark. The idea was simple. If sick people stayed isolated, the disease wouldn't spread. The cause? Back then, the doctors hired by governments to treat the sick and record the deaths wore those strange bird beak masks. They believed the disease spread through bad air, so they stuffed the beak with aromatic herbs for protection. Little did they know that a nice smell wasn't going to stop bacteria or viruses from spreading. A bacterium called Yersinia pestis, transmitted by fleas, lice, and rats. And here's the shocking part. This bacterium still exists today. The only reason we aren't reliving that nightmare is because of modern sanitation, urban cleaning systems, and, most importantly, the discovery of antibiotics in 1928, which finally allowed us to control these infections. The Plague of Justinian, 541 to 750. In the year 541, the same bacterium struck again, this time in Constantinople, today known as Istanbul, Turkey. At that time, the city was the center of the world, a massive gateway connecting Europe and Asia. Every day, ships arrived full of silk, spices, and wealth. But hidden among the cargo was something silent and deadly. First, a few people got sick, then dozens, then hundreds. When spring arrived, the death toll reached an unimaginable level, 5,000 deaths per day. That outbreak became known as the Plague of Justinian, named after Emperor Justinian I, who ruled the Byzantine Empire. The disease didn't stay in the city. It crossed borders and continents, killing more than 30 million people by the year 750. That was roughly 10% of the entire world population at the time. To understand the scale, if something like that happened today, it would be the equivalent of losing 700 million people. Smallpox, 1520. When Europeans arrived in the Americas in 1520, they didn't bring just ships, weapons, and ambition. They also brought an enemy no one could see: smallpox. Transmitted through the air, the virus caused red spots, blisters, high fever, and spread fast without mercy. The result was catastrophic. Within just a few years, 90% of the indigenous population in the Americas died. Entire civilizations, like the Aztec Empire, collapsed because they had zero immunity to this virus. The pandemic lasted for decades, killing around 30% of everyone infected and leaving deep physical and emotional scars on the survivors. But from this tragedy came one of humanity's greatest breakthroughs. In the 18th century, the world's first vaccine was created. Through science, international cooperation, and massive vaccination campaigns, smallpox became the first and only human disease ever eradicated from the planet. In 1979, it officially disappeared after killing more than 56 million people. A powerful reminder that knowledge saves and science transforms. The Spanish flu, 1918 to 19. Between 1918 and 19, a new virus began circulating the globe, H1N1. In just 2 years, the so-called Spanish flu killed at least 40 million people, making it one of the most lethal pandemics in modern history. But the name is misleading. Spain wasn't the origin. During World War I, countries censored any news that could lower troop morale. Spain, being neutral, was the only nation whose newspapers could freely report on the outbreak. So, since the world was only hearing about the flu through Spanish newspapers, a myth was born. The disease came from Spain. One of the first major fake news stories in history. To this day, no one knows where the virus actually came from. But we know exactly what it left behind: devastation, and proof that misinformation spreads as fast as a virus. AIDS, 1981 to present. You might not realize it, but AIDS is also considered a pandemic. Since 1981, it has taken the lives of more than 25 million people worldwide. AIDS is caused by the HIV virus, which attacks the immune system, the body's defense shield against infections. Without treatment, the virus multiplies and weakens this shield, making it harder for the body to fight even simple illnesses. The term AIDS refers to the advanced stage of HIV infection, not the virus itself. Today, thanks to science and modern treatments, people living with HIV can have long, healthy lives. But the story of AIDS is still a powerful reminder that information, prevention, and compassion save lives. When we look back at these events, we realize that every pandemic left deep marks on humanity. Some brought unimaginable pain, others led to discoveries that saved millions of lives later on. Science evolved, we learned, and we moved forward. If you enjoy videos that reveal shocking facts and turn information into knowledge, you're in the right place. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and keep exploring the world with us. Because the more we understand the past, the better prepared we are for the future.